Alright guys, TacticalRab here, and today I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. More juicy drama as always between the Vegas Legion and the Atlanta FaZe, but also Shotzzy revealing their performance the other day against Toronto Ultra was not representative of the way that OpTic have been playing behind the scenes in practice. If they can translate that better today, they should be in for a better time up against the Minnesota Rokkr tonight. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Let's dive straight in then to the final series of yesterday, FaZe versus Legion. This looked for a brief moment like we might get another upset on the cards, but unfortunately wasn't the case, to be honest. I was hoping that Vegas would at least send this to a game 5. Game 1 was looking rather good. They took game 1 at the end 250 to about 211. FaZe have a habit right now of coming out rather slow in series, and also their hardpoint in general just hasn't been particularly impressive. But from game 2 to game 4, Cellium had about a 2.2 KD or something like that. It was pretty outrageous, to be honest. The guy was going nuts, and honestly, he might be going to hell after what he did to Clayster. We'll see it in a second here, but man, this poor guy got absolutely tucked into bed. But in game 2, they broke the S&D record of all time in the CDL with 11 wins in a row. Now, there's some controversy whether they actually have tied it or whether they've broken it, because it seems like Los Angeles Guerrillas from last year were on a 10 streak at the Major 2 event that they won, and then they won another one at the Pro-Am Classic, right, shortly after Major 2. So, you know, technically it's 11, but do people count those S&Ds at the Pro when they might not have been playing the top teams, all this type of stuff? So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's basically been broken, right? I think that's kind of what most people seem to believe, that 11 in a row is now the new S&D record. And it's, to be honest, it's remarkable to me that this has happened both in the last 2 years. One of those teams was with SlasheR and Los Angeles Guerrillas, and now the team is FaZe. And this is the thing, right, about the whole SlasheR move. I know that there was a lot of debate when this move happened. Was it going to be the right move? But I think right now, SlasheR has kind of put to bed a lot of those concerns. Arcitys is not having the greatest time on Los Angeles Guerrillas from a team, but also an individual perspective. SlasheR has already won an event with these guys. He's already improved their search and destroy massively, which was one of the key intentions of bringing SlasheR onto the team. And individually, he's been frying lately as well. SlasheR probably has like a 1.3 so far at this stage. So, I mean, yeah, the numbers are remarkable. aBeZy especially. Now, the question is here, right, because when they played a lot of these on LAN, there was no loudness equalization in play. However, winning a search and destroy right now, when we saw yesterday, right, when they played, or the day before when they played London, and, you know, there were questions that the entire London team is using the loudness equalization thing, the FaZe guys weren't, so how are you meant to win in that scenario? Turns out one of the guys on FaZe may have just switched that setting on slightly, we'll see in a second. So, you know, it does seem to me they've broken it. That's certainly what FaZe believe. That's certainly what the CDL have said, that, you know, only person who can break the records himself. So SlasheR's broken the record with the FaZe guys, 11 in a row, king of S&D, and honestly, on this evidence, might just straight up have to be the best S&D player of all time at this point, given the records he's broken the last couple of years, but also historic data to indicate the same thing. Now, you know, so FaZe won the search, they ended up winning the control, and then this hardpoint was, I mean, man, I don't think Legion were ever going to win this hardpoint. The way that FaZe were playing it, some of these rotations where they're just so confident they're going to win, and it reminded me a little bit, honestly, of that famous map they played between Los Angeles, Thieves and FaZe back in the Cold War days, when they were just running around with their knives, because Cellium was running around with his pistol, they were going for knife kills, like, this, when FaZe are that confident, and you know they're that good, and, there's one particular hardpoint where, like in the kitchen thing, where Simp is just honestly unkillable, so, I mean, and Cellium individually dropped, like, some ridiculous stats this map as well, so yeah, I felt bad for Vegas, to be honest. They were getting absolutely fried, and, you know, it was pretty tough to watch, to be honest. Especially tough to watch was this moment I'll share here, where his attack says, Cellium, they need to lock you up for that snake on Clay. Like, this guy might be going straight to the depths of hell for this one. And so this was the start of the map here, where, you know, Method's just doing a nice little Cellium impression when he's just snaking thin air to get a kill on Clay. So that, I don't even think, was the one that people were discussing. This was the one that people were talking about here. So, I mean, I feel bad for Clay, man. So, Cellium gets one kill behind this truck, and Clay is like, okay, I've got 15 seconds. I can either rotate, or I want to play for this 10-second scrap time. But Cell is just snaking it again and again. It's like, Clay lands a couple of bullets on him, and Clay thinks, all right, maybe I'll snake a little bit. And he wastes 10 seconds of trying to get scrap, and then he reckons, all right, I'll get 2 seconds of scrap, and then Cellium kills him. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe it. And Clayster afterwards was like, there's 10 seconds left, P2. Do I sit there and snake forever, even though new hitter's about to pop, or do I try and milk a couple of seconds knowing I'm dead to the snake? Absolute lose-lose in that situation. And that's the thing, right? If snaking wasn't a thing, Clay could have theoretically got that kill, but there's just no way that Clay's killing him in that spot. spot with the, well, how good Cellium is, but also the mechanics in general. Cellium, in fairness, said after the series in the interview, was like, well, you know, maybe they should have a cooldown or something, but like it's not stopping him doing it. I think he even felt a bit bad for, you know, what he did to Clay there, but he's still doing it right, and that's the thing with this competitive integrity discussion, which was rampant last night, even after the series concluded. So 2 other bits of drama from the series. The first, as a couple of you guys pointed out to me, was ProLuke tweeted out hashtag #WeTheA, which is their weird new hashtag for FaZe or whatever, which of course ProLuke, right, formerly of Vegas, and it was a little bit funny really, because ProLuke obviously got dropped for 2 real, and you know, since that move has happened, I do think they've actually probably made a step in the right direction, in fairness. But ProLuke, I know Clay in an interview after they beat Thieves was like, oh, ProLuke, you know, he was a good player, it's a shame we had to make the change. And I thought maybe, yeah, it's never exactly mutual when you make a decision like that, but I thought ProLuke was, you know, could be quite respectful to the Vegas guys for the opportunity and looking for his next chance. However, ProLuke a couple of times now has kind of indicated that, you know, he's quite happy for Vegas to go down burning to the bottom of the ocean if possible, and he tweets out, of course, you know, basically supporting FaZe in their series last night. He deleted this tweet, but kind of gets the point across. The other one, though, from TJ, which is where things get real spicy, is again on the loudness or soundness, whatever it's called, sound equalization, right? The EQ is what people are calling it. And TJ admits, yeah, GG, those guys are elite. I don't know why they complain about sounding, though. Theirs is on 100. So I'm basically saying that guaranteed he reckons that they are using the equalization setting here. Now, of course, SlasheR has said that he believes all the bottom teams are going to use it for the advantage online. Every team wants to get those 10 points for the qualifiers, want to start in winners brackets, even though it's banned in the LAN matches, you can use it online. SlasheR has been steadfast that he doesn't use it online, but other teams do. And the thing is, right, if you want to maintain your search and destroy records, there's an argument to say, well, you know, why not just one player turn it on online, which is seemingly what exactly has happened here. So, you know, SlasheR says GG's Vegas 131, and, you know, turn off EQ. I don't have it on. Only MC turn it back on after our first 3 matches. I have zero reason to lie. So, SlasheR has now admitted that Cellium, after they played their first 3 games, has now turned it back on for presumably their series last night up against Vegas. And I believe SlasheR. I think generally SlasheR does have good integrity. The issue that SlasheR has is that he's teaming with Cellium now. So, you know, he finds himself in a tough spot where he wants to defend integrity for good reason. And I do think SlasheR does have integrity from an individual level, but as SlasheR goes on to say, he can't control the pros. He can't control his own teammates, right? Snaking is whack. It needs to be dealt with. My opinion hasn't changed, but I just can't control the pros. He's basically like, well, yeah, my teammate Cellium is using it now, and there's nothing I could do about it. He's just going to use it anyway. So this is the thing, right? If SlasheR wants to go so hard against, you know, integrity and all this type of stuff, the issue that he has is that he's teaming with Cellium, and Cellium is, you know, he likes to abuse this stuff, whatever it is, whether it be snaking or whether it even be the EQ setting. So while SlasheR individually, I don't think uses it, I'm not sure the rest of the team uses it. Is this a bit of a slippery slope, right, where Cellium has now turned it on? You know, does aBeZy turn it on next week and all this stuff? It's not necessary for FaZe. SlasheR, I'm sure, prefer not to use it, but at the same time, if only one player's got it on and you're playing a search and destroy game, like, Cellium could call out everything for the entire team when he's dead. So, you know, that's one of the issues that you run into here. SlasheR denies he's being hypocritical, and I think from an individual level, he's not, but I just think he finds himself in a difficult position when teaming with Cellium as it is. If you want to take a big stand for integrity, and look, as he says, I personally don't use it, I can't control everyone's settings, also we played 3 games without it, and are getting cheated against, what do you propose we do? I don't blame people for using it, but we need to find a way to get rid of it, which is probably fair enough, to be honest, and I thought one of his responses here was pretty entertaining. This guy replies, and that you guys need to read a book, I'm done here, have a good day. So that was such as a default response there, just to read a book to some of these guys. Thought it was rather entertaining. These were the overall numbers, though, not exactly a surprise. Vegas kind of got fried. Maps 2-4. Cello had a 1.8. So, I mean, yeah, what is there more to say? I think he went negative the other week in the series, which was remarkable, but he certainly made up for it here. And SlasheR had a 1.3. So, yeah, his numbers this stage are very good as well. And even Doug kind of commented on this and said, remove snaking from Call of Duty ASAP, and exactly how they would achieve that. There are a few alternatives, but probably Infinity Ward aren't going to do anything about it. We saw back in Infinite Warfare, it was a massive problem in that game as well. Before we dive into the games tonight, wanted to mention Shotzzy's opinion on their performance up against Toronto. Last night on stream, he actually mentioned on the Scump watch party that they'd warmed up Toronto for their series against New York, and they were frying at Toronto in the warm-up, which is quite interesting, right? Because Toronto went on to 3-0 that series up against the Subliners, but yeah, apparently OpTic were rinsing them in the warm-up scrims, but clearly couldn't translate that to success the previous day. So this is the thing, right, with the translation aspect from scrims to actual matches. I know that Bance and others have talked about it, that in actual matches, the gameplay play slows down a bit in terms of speed, and therefore it requires a bit more patience and teamwork and stuff like this that maybe OpTic quite haven't been able to translate from their practice to actual matches. But Shotzzy reckons they're way better than what we've seen of this team so far.
What do you got for scrims today?
Oh yeah, Toronto and I don't know the second.
You gonna talk to Ernie in chat?
Oh, we already slammed them.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's how it goes, man. Like, we have your back because we.
No. I will say, like, obviously, like, I mean, everyone's gonna judge us by our match or whatever, and you know, it is what it is. But dude, we are insane. Like, we are actually like insane.
Yeah.
Like seriously, we're actually really.
Yeah, but no, you have one bad match, or you guys are terrible and need to change. That's the mindset that every
saying like.
Yeah,
that's
bro.
what Ghosty told us. Ghosty told us y'all were looking
good, rip it off.
insane.
No. Like I'm saying, like I mean, obviously. I mean, obviously it's practice, but like that's the only thing that we could do, obviously go off of.
Yep.
But bro, whenever like it's not just the same team we're slamming, but it's like multiple teams. I wouldn't really say. I mean, I guess you could say slamming because like I'm saying these like the ways we're winning isn't just like 50 points, 60, 70. Like bro, we're like some teams aren't even getting like 70.
You're clubbing?
Like it's insane.
You're clubbing?
Yeah.
That's always a good feeling when you're clubbed.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's how it should be.
That's why whenever we lost yesterday, like I can't even. For one, there's some stuff that happened that doesn't really matter, but I mean we could only just take it on the chin, and I was just like I don't really care. Like we just come out stronger against Toronto or Rokkr, and then it is what it is.
So can they make it work tonight against the Minnesota Rokkr? I know that Rokkr obviously 3-0'd them at the major, right, at Major 2. And of course, Rokkr also beat OpTic in kind of inverted commas at the start of the season with the whole SAE drama when OpTic forfeited. So, Minnesota have had OpTic's number so far this year. I guess technically you look at the statistics, and certainly at Major 2 it was the case when the kind of, let's just say, slower playstyle of Rokkr and more, consistent maybe was just catching these guys off guard. I think that can be a problem for OpTic, but we'll see if it works for them tonight. And it honestly needs to work for OpTic tonight because, don't get me wrong, this is a series that should be winnable, but Rokkr look pretty good at the major. They've not looked so good so far at all in Stage 3. So I'm going to take OpTic to win this series, probably 3-1 maybe, but this to me is basically a must-win for OpTic because they already lost to Toronto, right, earlier in the week. So if they lose today, that's a 1-2 setup for them going into the final weekend where they play New York and then they play FaZe. So, okay, they can certainly go 1-1 or even 2-0 on a great weekend for OpTic. The talent is there on the team. But if they lose this series, there is a serious risk of them going 1-4 in their qualifier stretch here going into their home major, which will start them in the losers bracket, which is completely unacceptable. They can avoid all those risks really by just winning tonight. But of course, even getting 3-0'd by Toronto also wasn't ideal for map count reasons in terms of potential 2 and 3 tiebreakers. So tonight is a big win for OpTic if they can get it. Rokkr obviously need to win as well though, right? Because they're struggling really hard for the start of Stage 3 as well. But the other series are pretty interesting. Like, I don't exactly, the scheduling this week hasn't been great, to be honest. There's been some pretty burger tier matchups, to be honest, this week. And there's a couple more today. London versus Guerrillas, though, again, is interesting. Like, can London finally get a win? Will LAG bounce back? Like, I'm going to take London here 3-2, maybe 3-1, I don't know. London have done well the last few days. They just haven't really been able to win much, so hopefully they can get over the line there. And then Mutineers versus Surge. Again, an interesting series because Surge need to win this, really. Mutineers, they had a great win yesterday against Boston, but I can't really see Mutineers going 2-0. So I'll take Surge in this one to win another 3-1. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. The other final very important date and time to keep your eyes on today is Bull JoeDeceives coming up very soon indeed. Today, 12 PM Eastern at 9 AM Pacific on his stream. He's going to get his head shaved by Cellium, I believe. So that is the key date and time to keep in mind for this afternoon. But hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.